Well, joining us this morning is the Executive Director of the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation. It's Mr. Christian Maher. Christian, good morning. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning. It's good to be seen.
Oh, February already.
Oh, right. Last year went along at such a leisurely pace. Why won't this year do the same, right?
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? January just, I think, I base the year off of how fast January goes. If January goes pretty fast,
Then we're doomed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but to look on the bright side, it'll be spring before you know it. I mean, it already kind of feels like it today. So
that's
good.
down. I think we're supposed to get some snow or something Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
But, so everybody's been saying, oh, the groundhog was right, early spring, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then next week when we get some snow, if we do.
The groundhog's wrong.
Yeah, it'll be the opposite. And that's how it goes. But
Always.
we're going to be turning our clocks ahead. We'll be springing forward here shortly. Easter's the end of March, I believe. And primaries coming up.
Valentine's Day next week. You got to be prepared.
Yeah. Smack dab in the middle of the week. So you got this weekend and next weekend.
Yeah. Don't leave your honey hanging.
No. Yeah. It'll be a fundraiser for you.
Or I was listening to the radio yesterday, and apparently breaking up before Valentine's Day is a big thing. So, I mean, I don't recommend that, but for some people.
Yeah. I have a story about that, but it's not. It's really nothing. So what have you been working on?
So we have about 20 slots left in a program that we're putting on called Unlocking Nonprofit Financials, or what we found. We're working on doing a lot more capacity building work for the nonprofit organizations with whom we work. This one's geared to volunteer board members, professional staff, anybody who's worked in a nonprofit and is like, part of my job is the accounting piece of it, or, I'm on a board and I need to see a balance sheet at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, and I kind of need to understand what it means. And maybe, I don't know about you, have you ever had an accounting class? No, me either.
Maybe high school, like a business class, but it never really is anything. It's just like the base.
And so everything I've learned has been on the job. And I like to think I'm smart enough that I figured it out. But this session is really designed for people who have, moderate to knowledge base, and really want to learn more. It's a free seminar that we're putting on. It's a half day. We'll give you lunch. But the hope is that we can improve people's depth of knowledge so that they really understand what they're looking for when a balance sheet gets put in front of them, when the treasurer's report gets set down, and hopefully provide some resources that are helpful.
This really applies to a lot of people, because you might volunteer to sit on a board, and every month you get the financials, and you're looking at it going, I don't know.
Right, and you do have some responsibility as a board member legally for the health of the organization, and if you're looking at a balance sheet and you think everything looks healthy, but it's not, that can bite you in the butt after some time when things get less healthy from a financial standpoint. And so I think it's just really good practice for everybody to know the terms, know how nonprofit accounting works. Talking about things like, what's a good operating reserve to have? Should I even have an operating reserve? Does that make sense? Or you've got 5 different programs and one of them's not making money. Do you continue with that program, knowing that the other programs might be subsidizing it, so that's okay? Or maybe it's dragging everything else down, and you have to make some decisions about which way you go with things. So those are the kind of things that I think we're going to delve into. It'll also give us an idea through our discussion of other areas that we can focus on with future training. We already have an idea that we want to do some work around fundraising, as that is something that seems to be an evergreen kind of problem from nonprofit organizations. I can name a handful of organizations in the county that have like a full-time fundraising person for whom it's their only job. For most of us, myself included, our organization, it's one of many jobs that I do. So everybody, focuses on it to varying degrees, and we could all be better at it. So that should be next
and not
year.
everybody has the luxury of being able to hire somebody. I mean, if you looked at the financials and realized we can't afford to pay somebody to do it, so
Well, and even now, finding a really skilled fundraiser is a challenge too. There are a lot of organizations that I know of that are mentoring newer professionals in the hope that in a few years they'll be able to step in to a role where they're knowledgeable enough that they can just hit the ground running and do it. But we've got a whole generation of older professionals who are retiring, and frankly, we haven't done a great job of mentoring new professionals in that field.
yeah,
So
well said.
it's a challenge.
All right, so you can sign up for the Unlocking Nonprofit Financial Statements.
Yep. And I think we've still got about 20 slots left. It's going to be held at Allegheny College. They've been wonderful in partnering with us on this program. They're going to provide lunch. It's always a wonderful lunch, if nothing else. And Melanie from Bookminders out of Pittsburgh is a wealth of knowledge. She already works with a few organizations in the county, and I've heard wonderful things about the work that they do. So I'm pretty excited about it. We're also getting into scholarship season, which the federal government has made really fun this year.
Well,
If you've heard, oh yeah, you're a parent. Of course you've heard.
yeah, and I just saw a story yesterday that really highlighted like just a lot of the challenges right now.
Yeah. So for people who don't know what we're talking about, for students going to college, you have to fill out the free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA. And this is a tool that we at the Community Foundation use when determining some of the scholarship eligibility that we do. And this year, it looks like because of some changes, the FAFSA is going to be late. So this is going to put some stress on our systems, we think. Our deadline is a little later than some other community foundations, so we're not entirely sure. It's going to make it so that everybody's applying at the last minute, though, which, frankly, truthfully, people can start applying now and filling everything else out and then just supply us the FAFSA later, and we highly recommend that. Like most things, our application allows you to create a login, go in, fill out all the information that's needed, and then come back later and put that FAFSA information in and just complete the application at that time. But always makes sense to start that application early, get letters of recommendation from teachers, pastors, coaches, all those kind of things. Make sure that your transcripts are ready from your guidance office. Most of the guidance offices are familiar with our process and are very helpful in this, making sure that the student has exactly what they need. And yeah, so once, if you've got a graduating senior this year especially, get that started. The process, we've streamlined it a lot this year. The start of it, you just look for the logo for your sports team. Sports team, if you're a Titusville student, you look for the Titusville Rockets logo. Click that, and you're off to the races. So the goal is to make it as easy for the student to apply as possible.
And if you're watching in Meadville or Lyonsville,
And Meadville, there's a Bulldog logo, and
That's
it's all. And we do have some scholarships that are for students who are not currently enrolled in high school. A nursing scholarship, and that's the one I can think of off the top of my head. But there are some other opportunities there. So that's going to be heating up here soon. Always fun stuff.
Wow. Well, 'tis the season.
And leave it to the federal government to make it more challenging. So
I think they should do everything for us. We shouldn't have to think at all.
certainly.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's like your taxes. Like, they know how much I owe. Just tell me how much I owe. Don't make me jump through all these hoops of like filling out a form. Like the bureaucracy is just ridiculous.
Well, so yeah, it's at the time of year, just busy, busy, busy. Now, from scholarships to grants or other opportunities for folks, what's
so we had kind of an historic response to our discretionary grant making program in December. Usually we'll get maybe 30 applications at the end of the year. I think we got 120.
Holy cow.
So we made the executive decision that we would do all of our grant making in one fell swoop because it seemed like everybody applied all at once. And there were a lot of really good applications, really good projects in there.
Did you find that it was there was a need, like organizations are kind of struggling, or organizations are coming up with really good projects they would like some help with the funding?
I think it's a little bit of both. So like the Meadville Area Free Clinic, we're making a grant to them. I want to say it's $10,000 for implementation of some software and a new system that's really going to help them with patient outcomes. And like this is one-time seed money that will really help transform the work that they do. You know, it's sad that we have a healthcare system that requires us to have a free clinic in Meadville, but this is where we're at. And so, you know, the more we can do to add to their infrastructure so that they're able to, you know, help those people who work every day but still don't qualify for health insurance from their employer, to help keep them healthy, all the better. So we're pretty excited about that. That's kind of the flagship grant that we made this time. And so lots of the other ones are just smaller projects. Like we're helping out in Cambridge Springs at the, I forget what the carnival grounds are called. I think it's the Fireman's Carnival grounds. But there's a new group out there called Create, and they are doing some wonderful things for trying to reinvigorate Cambridge Springs. You know, they've had a lot of struggles since the Riverside burnt down.
Yeah.
Tourism was their lifeblood in that community, and when you don't have a big hotel, that is definitely challenged. So you've got a group of great volunteers that have a lot of passion and want to see a lot of good things. They
had a fire downtown too, didn't they?
In
some of those buildings.
Maybe
Historic.
I don't know. It seems like we have fires every day.
Oh, I know. And it's devastating too.
This is something else that I just got done working on outside of our regular grant making process. Is I got a call from the Crawford County Commissioners. You might be aware that every once in a while we have some people who need rescue on our waterways, whether it be French Creek, Conneaut Lake, or Pymatuning. About a month and a half ago, I think we had some hunters that were stranded on French Creek. And I don't know if you know this, but we have a Crawford County firefighter scuba team that responds to these emergencies. And so the Crawford County Commissioners reached out because the scuba team got a line on a used hovercraft that they could use in rescues. And these guys are really good at rescuing people, but, you know, they're not skilled fundraisers. I mean, who is? And so we got the call of like, hey, do you know anybody that can help out with this, or do you have money? And I'm like, we just gave out all of our money last week that we had allocated for this year. But I do know some people. So we talked to some people who are our donor advisors who have some money with us, who have some discretion over where those monies go. And we had a few of them who came together and were able to put some money towards kind of the to match what the commissioners were putting in, basically. So I'll have to show you the video. Maybe next month I'll have you show some of the video from the.
Is it on your Facebook page?
It's we haven't really talked about it too much yet because this kind of just happened, but met with Scott Shell, Eric Henry, and Chris Seeley last week, and I think it's Jim Pratt who's with the scuba team, and he was going over like all the specifics of it, and they're really going to continue to, like, we've helped them, the county and the community foundation both together, and some other entities have helped come up with money to buy the hovercraft, but what they're going to need is continuing funds to help with training of people, because you know, when you're spending tens of thousands of dollars on specialized equipment, you don't just send people out without any training.
Yeah.
And especially when it's a life or death situation of like pulling someone out of a freezing cold body of water, you want to approach that in the right way. So the training is going to be really important to our community. And like I said, like, I mean, you had hunters stranded this year. I was talking to Jim about, you know, capsizes that he's had with people on canoes and other things that hit strainers, you know, submerged logs in French Creek. It seems like every year, except for this year, because we didn't have ice fishing on Conneaut Lake, really, that somebody over there falls in, and this thing just like, I mean, it just glides across the water.
Oh, wow.
Over ice, over all sorts of obstacles. It's going to be a pretty impressive thing, I think, for our community.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
Well, and it's neat to be part of that process too. Of like, okay, and like I'm like, okay, where are we gonna find some cash for this? And then I'm like, okay, I know some people, and I think that they'll go for it. But you know, you have to have the, you know, the backup to say, hey, you know, these are the things I've seen. These are the things that we know, and so we're gonna do some. I think they're going to do some video. A friend of mine is in that group, and he does fantastic video work. So I think we'll have some stuff to show you.
Yeah, bring it next week
Yeah.
or next month. Yeah, that'd be great. You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel. Christian Maher with us here this morning, Crawford Heritage Community Foundation. Probably helpful, too, that the foundation has such a great track record that whenever you make those phone calls, it's not like, okay, who are you? What do you do? What do you need?
Right. I mean, so much of it is like we've built relationships with people, with our donors, that they trust that we're not just asking them every 5 minutes for something. Like, we're trying to take care of the most of the needs that come into us, but every once in a while something just pops up. It's a quick turnaround. And we hope to find where we can put those dollars, or find a way that we can like get somebody to help out. That's kind of outside of our normal process. So this is just one of those things that kind of worked out, and I think it'll be a good thing for our community. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's great. You have to smile a little bit when you see those items that you know you've been a part of the story, you know, of maybe an organization, a volunteer group getting a piece of equipment or gear, and you see them out in the community using it, or it's used for good, or something like that.
Well, and it's great to see our county commissioners really take an interest in public safety and make sure that that's, you know, a hallmark of their terms in office, that they're making sure that people are taken care of in that respect, that they're putting money towards that sort of infrastructure. I think that's fantastic. And so we're just glad to be a partner in those kind of things.
Scholarships, man, it's you're gonna blink and graduations are gonna be here.
That's pretty true.
So usually you're making the rounds that time, visiting school districts, and
so so you know, any school that's got a college night, we'll be sending staff to those. We've got staff at our office who, if people have questions about the process, we've already had a few early birds who've been like, hey, like 1st of January rolled around and they were ready. So, you know, college is not inexpensive. So if you do the legwork ahead of time, it really does help to, you know, line some things up, hopefully.
well, at least it gives you more time to process everything before the kids go off to school.
Well, and we really do appreciate having everything in early. having all that information at our fingertips. So, you know, it's not the most fun part of the job, I'm sure, and parents don't love this part of sending their kids off to college. They might like having them out of the house, but you know, the having to pay for it is less fun.
It's amazing how quickly the mind can readjust to things. So, you know, when your kid first leaves, it's like, oh man, it's kind of quieter, and then when they come back, it's like, all right, time for you to leave.
Yeah, for real.
We're used to you not being here now. So, I don't know. When it comes to manufacturing, are there opportunities for folks in our region?
We do. So we partner with our friends at the National Tooling and Machining Association. They have some scholarships and we have some scholarships. We use their application process. And so if you check out, if you Google the NTMA Education Foundation, they've got scholarships for students really across Northwest Pennsylvania. So it's not just limited to Crawford County. Our scholarships within that are pretty limited to Crawford County, but anybody who's a traditional or non-traditional student, if you've been in the workforce for a few years and are thinking, hey, you know, I might want to learn about tooling or mechatronics or I don't know, there's other things that that we do. But those scholarships run on a similar timeline to ours and are really helpful, especially, you know, you've got the training hub over here at Pitt Titusville. You can use those monies towards that program.
Oh, that's great.
And that will really give you a leg up as you try to start a career in tooling and machining.
Hey, speaking of leg up, are you supporting Syracuse this morning?
With
Your socks?
My socks,
yeah.
a little bit.
Okay.
I found out my brother's got like season basketball tickets too.
Oh,
Like
there you go.
I thought he was just a football guy, but
If folks want to get a hold of you, Christian, how do they find you?
people can call the office at 814-336-5206. They can call 814-499-1852, and that'll ring my cell phone. Or they can check out our website at crawfordheritage.org. We can meet up for coffee.
Awesome. Good to see you.
All right, nice seeing you too.
Thanks.